We have got a packed program for you guys. My name is Harry Temkin. I'm the Chief Information Officer of DriveWealth. My colleague John Shammas, our lead front-end developer. I think you guys would all agree that the digital age of financial services is here. Consumers want easy access to everything on their smartphones, and now more than ever, their finances as well. Now, in order to retain the next generation of millennial investors, you're going to have to be able to adapt and offer digital investment advisory services. Traditional brick and mortar just isn't going to cut it anymore. Without a scalable, global, digital investment platform, it's going to be hard to maintain and grow your retail client base. Now, DriveWealth is going to change the face of retail investing worldwide. Our strategy is to build that global, scalable digital investing platform that will link the most demanded U.S. wealth management products to the highest growth retail markets. Now, we are a full carrying U.S. broker-dealer, able to offer direct access to U.S. equities through a robust set of REST and FIX APIs. Now, we partner with foreign technology companies, investment advisors, wealth managers, and correspondent brokers from around the world. Our regulatory licenses are powerful. As I mentioned, we're a full carrying broker-dealer, able to not only onboard domestic, but more importantly, international retail investors from around the world and custody their funds. Now, through our partners, we onboard customers in over 140 countries, and we have access to over 400 million people. We're the only broker-dealer to offer real-time dollar-based investing to international investors. We offer clearing services to correspondent brokers, and our licenses are specifically well-suited to work with both domestic and international registered investment advisors. Now, combined with these powerful licenses, DriveWealth's advantage is its scalable, mobile-first technology. We're the only broker-dealer with a full stack of APIs that cover all aspects of client engagement, both domestic and international, for onboarding, funding, order management, and reporting. And we do this for both self-directed and managed accounts. It's your platform with US equities, the easiest integration in fintech. John, let's show them how we do it.
So let's start by taking a look at the onboarding procedure. And first we'll look at the DriveWealth app, which is actually live in the iTunes Store and Google Play Store right now. And as this user goes through and fills out his application for a US brokerage account, we'll start to see some of the information that we're going to send to the API server. So as you would expect, there's some personal information like their name, their email address, and then we also ask them about the type of account. Is this a joint account? Is this a margin account? And those questions are sent to our API server simply as Booleans. Now, obviously, this is just a small snippet of all the questions that we require in order to open a brokerage account for a user. So we offer another endpoint to get back all of those questions and dynamically build that form. So in this example, it's returning social security number, and we could see some very key pieces of information like whether or not to put this field in my form, which in this case is based on if the user is a US citizen or not. We also have the text for this question in a user's native language. So right now we support English, Spanish, Chinese, and Portuguese, and next will be Arabic. And some more technical information like here's a regular expression to match the user's input against. So these two endpoints in tandem really allow our partners to completely customize and control the entire flow of the onboarding experience for their user base.
Now let's take a look at a real-world example. Here's JD.com's mobile finance app, third largest e-commerce platform in the world. Now you notice what they wanted was the ability to not only onboard to a Chinese broker, but also offer US equities through DriveWealth. Now they wanted this to be a native application so that the look and feel was the same throughout the app, whether they were onboarding to Chinese or US. The only way to do that is to provide an API that returns all the things they need in local language. Now let's take a look at the next process after they click to open a US account. They need to upload documentation. So of course we provide an API to do that very easily, but JD took this one step farther. When you add the national ID card, they then scan the ID card for all of the relevant information and then automatically post that to our API so that the entire onboarding process for the end consumer is that much more efficient. All of the questions that come back, they are returned back in local language, so all they need to do is place that in their form. In a couple of steps, the client will get to the electronic signature page, sign that document, and within 2 to 24 hours after we KYC and AML them, they will be an approved account.
Now, for our partners who don't want to completely build this experience natively, we also offer a very simple drop-in solution that they can embed in their website or their mobile app. So now that we've taken a look at just how simple it is to onboard a user, let's take a look at the next step, facilitating the transfer of funds from that user to their newly created US brokerage account.
Now let's take a second to talk about funding, because here in the United States, it's easy to fund an account, right? I mean, that's just a wire transfer, ACH transfer. But when you want to onboard customers from over 140 countries, you have to be able to provide them local capabilities, local funding sources. So we provide a wide array of funding mechanisms at the global level and then at region-specific levels. So as you can see here at the top, global, we support credit cards, Bitcoin, Western Union. At the more regional level, China Union Pay, next couple of weeks, Alipay and WePay for Asia, TransferWise and SafetyPay for Latin America and Europe. And then we do country-specific options at the bottom, for example, India, and then China-specific wiring instructions.
Now, retrieving these funding methods is just as simple as getting the questions for the onboarding procedure. So with one endpoint, I can get back all of these different funding processes, and I can even filter this based on different criteria about the user, so that if I know a user is in the US, I'll get back only the relevant funding methods. And if I know that they're about to deposit US dollars, I can also filter that to get back only the relevant methods for that specific user. And if we look at the actual response that comes back from the server, there's some information here for me to dynamically build my experience in UI. So for example, the name of this funding method, again in user's native language, things like any applicable fees, and where to send the user to initiate this transaction. If we look at this in practice, here, for example, is an app by Credities, which is the world's largest peer-to-peer lender. They cater to a Chinese audience, and because of that, they decided that in their funding procedure, they wanted to only offer China Union Pay and wire transfer instructions. So by using our new API, they were able to customize that experience and build something specifically for that audience of users. Now, similar to onboarding, we also offer a drop-in solution for that, like our friends at Boone Investments use, that can be used to very quickly enable funding in your app or website. So now that we've taken a look at just how simple it is to facilitate that transfer of funds, we'll move on to actually placing orders with a client. And we'll turn back to the DriveWealth app here. And in this example, a user is looking at Tesla, and he's decided that he wants to purchase some Tesla stock. All he has to do is tap on buy and then just indicate the cash amount that he wants to invest. So he's just going to type in $50. And what you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen is actually what's going to be sent to our API server. So the front end does not need to calculate exactly how many shares $50 worth of Tesla is. All it has to do is notify the server that this guy wants to purchase $50 worth of Tesla stock. So being able to support dollar-based orders like that allow any user to purchase any security regardless of its stock price, which means all barriers of entry are lifted. Now, the next piece of this endpoint is that not only can I send in a single order to this endpoint, but I can actually send in an array of orders. So in this example, a user is purchasing $50 worth of Tesla and liquidating 12.5 shares of Boeing. So why would I want to leverage this functionality? Well, we'll switch over to our other computer here and take a look at something we do in the DriveWealth app that we call basket trading. And so here I have open my basket investment screen, and I've selected some securities that I want to purchase. And I've assigned weightings to all of these as well. So in this case, I wanted to spend 40% of this transaction on Apple. All I'm going to do now is just indicate what this investment size is going to be. So I can say something like $100. Tap on checkout, and all of these orders are going to be sent to that orders endpoint that we just took a look at in that array style. And in just a couple of seconds, that's going to be filled. We can look at Charles over here, which is an application for seeing all of that network traffic coming from the app. And if we look at the request that was being sent out, you can actually see all of those different orders and the cash amounts. So the front end did not need to calculate that. They can just send in that amount cash property. If we take a look at the actual positions after those orders were filled in an endpoint that we'll talk about in just a moment, we'll actually be able to see that these were all filled at current market price. Now, obviously, we're outside of trading hours right now, so we did that in a paper trading account, but all of this is live and in production and available to our partners.
So now what John just showed you is an excellent example of how an investment advisor that wants to act as a financial planner can use our technology, right? Because if you think about a financial planner making a recommendation of a specific portfolio of ETFs and securities with specific weights, They can literally make that recommendation to the client, and in the client's individual account through these APIs actually facilitate that with whatever investment size they want, and they'll get the exact amount of fractional shares. Now let's talk about our new managed account APIs for customers that want to operate in managed environment. Now, one of the problems you have here is that we have 21st century technology being used at the front end, but on the back end, the APIs are all 20th century, right? Because with managed accounts, we have the problem of getting a flat file at the beginning of the day for our cash and equity positions. And then how are we doing allocations? We're doing those once a day, potentially at the end of the day, either through Fix or even, God forbid, an Excel spreadsheet. So we've changed the way our clients are going to engage with us by creating a 21st century solution to managed accounts. Now, this is an example of, again, the CreditEase app, largest peer-to-peer lender, and how they allow their clients to choose one of their robo products. They allow them to choose a well-diversified portfolio, and then they're using our newest APIs to send those orders in a managed account environment. Now, what are the additional posts that come with, or the additional APIs that come with the managed account process? The first being the allocation capability. So the client's already posted the order stuff, you've seen that API. We provide an endpoint that allows them to allocate those trades to the sub-accounts in real time, meaning they can do it right after the order is submitted, or they can do it at the end of the day. Whenever they want to, they can submit that. Secondly, we provide additional APIs to allow them to check the status of that allocation. How well did the allocation go? Did it partially fill, completely fill? And if it didn't fill at all, then it gives them the instructions they need as to how to repost that to us. Again, we provide a real-time access to the beginning of day file. They can call upon that whenever they want. And then we also provide an order summary API endpoint. That means show me all the orders that I've submitted since the beginning of the day so that I'm always synchronized. My OMS is always synchronized with DriveWealth.
The last piece of our API stack is everything that we do for reporting. And the philosophy here was to prevent the front end from having to do any of the heavy calculations or having to derive the numbers with strange formulas. All it has to do is pull numbers from JSON responses. And if we compare what we show in the DriveWealth app to what we get back from Account Summary, which is a very holistic view of my account, including my positions and my orders and things like that, we can see that all of these numbers are just taken from that response. So things like my buying power, my cash balance, or my equity value, all from that response. If we look at my positions, here's my position in Apple. This account summary request is going to give me its exact market value, its PL for the entire lifetime of the position, and the PL for just today for that position. We also offer a very simple way to generate reports with things like financial transactions or tax documents in a wide variety of different formats. We have a long-term and historical performance endpoint so that if a client wanted to graph their performance over time and see how their equity value has changed, or see on specific days how much did they make realized and unrealized, they can do that as well. The last piece is the additional functionality we add for users who have margin accounts in our system.
So basically, what are we doing here, right? The account summary or the account blotter that you saw is basically replicating all of the functionality in a sell-side OMS, doing that on the back end and serving it up in real time through a REST API that's available, again, on demand. When you want to work in a mobile environment, you're not going to be able to put an order management system in that application. You have to be able just to serve the numbers up. So we do that very, very well by providing, again, the real-time buying power, status of open positions, status of limit orders or orders resting in the market, and so forth. Our latest addition is real-time margin, meaning that we're going to calculate the buying power throughout the entire day based on your long market value, right? We're going to show you how much excess equity you have to trade with, and we're also going to provide an extra level of protection to our customers to help them not get into a margin call. Now, how are we doing that? I mean, again, there's a lot of data that's coming back in the margin block, but the only one that you need to be concerned about is equity fraction, because that's basically doing all the math for you. It's telling you, where am I right now? What is my margin power? How close am I to getting to that 0.35 threshold where I'll end up in a margin call? Now, let's say that the market were to drop away, right? A serious thing happens in the marketplace and I've got resting limit orders. We'll actually cancel those limit orders for the client automatically to prevent them from going into a margin call. Now, let's just say that they do go into a margin call. Again, that's calculated throughout the day, real time, not end of day. A new block will appear that says margin call, the type of call that it is, and give them a real-time amount of how much they need to liquidate or to add cash to the account to basically get them out of the margin call. This is all new technology. As far as we know, no other broker is doing this in real time and serving it up in a mobile device the way we are through these APIs.
So to summarize, these four aspects of our API is what powers all of our different accounts, be it our self-directed accounts and our new managed account solutions.
Thank you very much.